Good evening, viewers. You're watching Times Now, and within 30 minutes from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the nation. This after the Constitution Amendment Bill to operationalize the 33% reservation for women in the Lok Sabha was defeated on the floor of the House. The bill fell short of the two-third majority it needed, triggering a political firestorm that is still raging. Meanwhile, addressing a rally in Tamil Nadu, Prime Minister dropped a big hint on his explosive national address. Listen in.
इस कार्यक्रम के बाद आज रात को 8:30 बजे 8:30 मैं राष्ट्र के नाम अपनी बात बताने वाला हूं। इस विषय पर मैं विस्तार से चर्चा करने वाला हूं।
Ladies and gentlemen, the BJP has, of course, come out and defended whatever the position of the government was. And when, of course, we are looking at the Prime Minister addressing this, we've taken the fight, in fact, to Rahul Gandhi's doorstep. We've seen the Constitution Amendment Bill for the Nari Shakti Bill failing to pass in the Lok Sabha. We saw BJP launching a nationwide protest against the opposition, and Rahul Gandhi's New Delhi residence became the epicenter of the stir. BJP's top guns descended outside his home, accusing Rahul and the Congress of denying women their rights. Water cannons were fired and BJP workers were detained as the protest turned high voltage. Listen in to the war of words.
उन्होंने सोचा चलो पारित हो जाएगा तो जीत, पारित नहीं होगा तो हम हर नेता के सामने बाकी पार्टियों को महिला विरोधी कहकर महिलाओं के मसीहा बन जाएंगे। तो आप महिला हैं, हम जानती हैं कि महिलाओं का मसीहा बनना इतना आसान नहीं है, करके दिखाना पड़ता है। एक इतिहास है, कांग्रेस पार्टी का एक इतिहास है, विपक्षी दलों का एक इतिहास है, भाजपा का इतिहास है महिलाओं के संदर्भ में।
They are very clearly against women's reservation. I'm taking you back to 2010. They are saying हमने 98 साल पहले 1928 में we started this. Shaking them 98 years and they still couldn't do it. They had power for 6 decades. They still couldn't do it. From 2004 to 14, they had power. Why is it that they didn't pass it in Lok Sabha then? It's not as if the Congress did not have power at the center to take this historical decision. Why is it that they had the power, they didn't do it? Because they never wanted to.
Yesterday in Parliament, they proposed a women's bill. They were trying to use the women's bill as camouflage to pass a delimitation bill. What they wanted to do was change the electoral map of India. What they wanted to do was reduce the number of seats, reduce the representation that South India, Tamil Nadu, small states and the Northeast get. I am proud to say that the opposition got together and defeated this nefarious design.
कांग्रेस पार्टी और विपक्षियों को भारत के महिलाओं का गुस्सा झेलना पड़ेगा। मैंने तो कल ही बता दिया। इतना ऐतिहासिक और महत्वपूर्ण बिल महिलाओं को पार्लियामेंट और असेंबली में जगह देना, इसमें क्या आपत्ति हो सकते थे? बहाना मार करके इतना महत्वपूर्ण बिल को गिराया, ये तो मैं मानता हूं कि देश के लिए भी एक काला दिवस रहा है और ये काला दाग कांग्रेस और उनके सारे साथी हैं उन पर लग गया है जो मिटा नहीं पाएगा।
हम महिला के विरोध नहीं है, महिला आरक्षण आज भी हम वोट से समर्थन देने के लिए तैयार है, लेकिन हम हम विरोध किया कि इसको लेके आप डिलिमिटेशन को क्यों आप इंटेंगल कर रहे हैं। डिलिमिटेशन अलग बात है, उसमें बहुत गंभीर प्रश्न है जिसके ऊपर एक सीरियस चर्चा होनी चाहिए। महिला आरक्षण तुरंत कर दो, अलग कर दो, अभी के पार्लियामेंट में कर दो, और दूसरे विषय जो डिलिमिटेशन के हैं गंभीर चर्चा के बाद करेंगे।
मित्रों, मैं ये तो नहीं कह सकता कि कांग्रेस पार्टी संविधान नहीं समझती है, लेकिन जानबूझकर नहीं समझने का नाटक भी करती है। No revision of seats in the Lok Sabha or the Vidhan Sabha is possible without delimitation.
Let's quickly take this across to our reporters who are joining us live. With us is Pragya. We also have Mohit Bhatt joining us and Nyamika also with us on the show. Let me come to you first. Pragya, what do we expect the Prime Minister to say? We've seen the indications coming in from the BJP. They're going to have a nationwide stir. The protests have already begun outside Rahul's residence, so on and so forth. But what exactly is the Prime Minister expected to say when he addresses the nation in about 20 minutes from now?
Well, Madhav, it looks like the Prime Minister is going to be all out against opposition parties. It is going to be a scathing attack on opposition parties and their stand. As Prime Minister said, the DMK and Congress allies, they do not want women to rise. In fact, they are family politics. And in fact, it is because of them that such a revolutionary step has been defeated in Parliament. So Prime Minister is going to be, having a scathing attack on opposition parties, and not just that. Prime Minister is also going to, explain how South versus North divide was created by opposition, and how, the formula that was proposed by BJP was actually benefiting the southern states. And now, because of the politics of DMK and Congress, they are losing out on the seats as well. So all of these issues are going to be touched upon by Prime Minister. Remember, it is a very touchy issue that Prime Minister is speaking about, and he's very sensitive and emotional about this particular women reservation. He has spoken about women empowerment. He has always spearheaded, the movements and the facilities that can be extended to women in the policies as well. He also acknowledges the role that women plays in building the nation, and this is exactly what he is going to appeal to all the women to give a befitting reply to the opposition. Looks like that this is going to be the theme of his address at 8:30 tonight.
Right, and let me quickly bring in Nyamika also. Nyamika, while on one hand Rahul Gandhi says it was an attempt to bring in delimitation, the question coming in from the other side, Smriti Irani particularly asking, is if they were so serious about this, as they are claiming to be, why did they not implement it during 2004 to 2014 when the UPA government was in power? Nyamika.
Well, the Congress party has been kept on saying that the intention, this entire idea was of the Congress party only. It was, the dream of the former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi to implement the women reservation in this country, and that is the only reason why they had also attempted it, and in fact had also given it in the panchayats as well. But when this bill was being introduced at that point in time, when the UPA government was there, then the other political parties, including what they are alleging is that even the BJP was also not in favor of implementing this bill, and that is the only reason why it was not being passed in the parliament. Today, the way in which Priyanka Gandhi Vadra had addressed a press conference, and she had given an open challenge to the BJP that if they are actually very much serious about implementation of the women's reservation, then they should do it as per the bill which was being passed in 2023, and on the 543 seats, if this reservation will be given, then it will be celebrated by the entire opposition. The entire opposition will be standing united along with the government, so that this right of the women can be given to them. But on the other side, she has also made this allegation that this entire special session which is being called by the government, that was a ploy, that was a well-planned tactics on the part of the government of India, because they were quite sure that the opposition, that they don't have the numbers, and if the opposition will vote against it, then they will use the narrative of anti-women mindset of the opposition parties. But if this bill will be passed in the Lok Sabha, then they will be called as a messiah of women, and that was the only intention why this special session was being called by the government of India.
Okay, stay with us, Nyamika. Let me quickly get in Mohit Bhatt as well. Mohit Bhatt, the big question that opposition is asking is why link the two? Why link the women's reservation issue with delimitation in the first place? Because if you're going to increase the number of seats, that's a separate issue which has a lot of complications which require to be thrashed out, is what opposition is saying. Mohit, is what the opposition is saying to the government. What is the government's response?
In the afternoon, Ravi Shankar Prasad and Smriti Irani, two of the... Well, Madhav, in the afternoon, Ravi Shankar Prasad and Smriti Irani addressed the press conference, and they were asked about this particular question on the technicality that the opposition, specifically the Congress, is raising. So they basically stated that there could not be any reorganization of any constituency without delimitation, and perhaps that is why this bill was brought in with the women reservation, with the 131st amendment. Madhav, but the strategy of BJP now is clear. The legislative part of the bill is now over. It has been defeated. Now, BJP will go to people's court, and they will tell women of this country specifically that how they were championing their rights, how it was a time when all the opposition parties could have come together and they could have made history, and it was the opposition party that betrayed the women of this country. Now, crucial elections elections are, we are into the run-up to the crucial elections of Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, and this issue would be raised by the BJP. Various protests are being planned, various press conferences are being planned, and hence it will be the war of narrative from the Bharatiya Janata Party side that we wanted to give rights to the women, but now it was the opposition parties that betrayed the women. On the other hand, we'll see opposition coming out saying that it was not about women reservation, it was always about delimitation, and they have been raising the issue that how the southern state would have been at loss if the bill,
Mohit,
if the amendment could
Nyamika
have
and
passed.
Pragya, we'll have to leave it there at the moment. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. It's been, of course, a hectic 3 days for all of you who've been covering the politics surrounding this, including inside Parliament. But in just about 20 minutes from now, in fact, 19 minutes from now, we expect the Prime Minister to react. What will be the statement or the message coming from the Prime Minister? That will be very, very important. And of course, we're going to get further reactions to that. Many thanks to three of you for joining us. Let's quickly take this across to our guests. Charu Pragya, spokesperson of BJP. With us here in the studio also is Advocate Vandana Sinha, spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party. And Charu Pragya, let me ask you this. You heard Priyanka Gandhi Vatra. All right, we also have Advocate Kapil Madan joining us. And in fact, let me take Kapil Madan on this first. Kapil Madan, the question is that the Prime Minister is already, on the campaign trail there in Coimbatore. He's spoken about this issue. He's spoken about how women of Tamil Nadu would have got better representation had the opposition agreed. And the larger question is why the opposition parties have failed the women of India, is the question coming on from the BJP side. Your response?
So, Madhav, I'll begin and I'll ask one very straight pointed question. So, Women Reservation Bill was passed in 2023 as per my knowledge, and in fact, the opposition has supported that bill. What stops the current government from implementing that bill from now, or even better from 2023 when this bill was passed? So what they essentially wanted to do was they don't intend to give women the share from the existing pie. What basically they want to do is they want to do this, create a facade of this delimitation, and out of which they say once that delimitation is done, thereafter women will get, reservation. I ask a very simple question now. One good reason why women are not given reservation as on 2023 when the bill was passed. There is absolutely no logical explanation to it. Okay. The only explanation to that is you want to let me ask you you don't want to give away your existing seat share, and this is only
okay. Kapil, you put your question across. Respond to that, Charu Pragya. And I will add just one line. The point is, if you were serious about implementing even the 2023 legislation, why was it notified at the end of the first day of the special session?
Now, Madhav, good evening. Let me begin with a disclaimer. The delimitation process has already been confirmed by the entire opposition, the one they claim to be protesting against today, in 2023 itself. Go back to Article 334A of the Constitution and read it. Please read it. I urge all your viewers to read it, where it clearly says there is a sequence. First, census, then delimitation, and lastly, women's reservation. And this was a requirement. It's also a constitutional requirement because the seat redistribution was frozen till 2026. So now that freeze goes out. Census is going to happen. Then there will be delimitation. But you know what? Delimitation is happening. Women's reservation is happening. Who's the loser here? It is the opposition, because the government came up with the 50% formula that would have helped all the southern states, all the smaller states that Rahul Gandhi claimed to be worried about. But you know what, Rahul Gandhi? Do a little bit of reading, because I'll give you a simple bit of math. Take the state of Telangana, for example, ruled by your party, today 17 seats. As per the 50% formula, you would have risen to 26 seats. But if you go by delimitation and census, as it is written in the 23 bill, it will be 3 seats down. It's the same for Kerala, it's the same for Tamil Nadu. Here was a government which wanted to take everybody along, whether it is the men already in parliament, whether it is the southern states, and the women who are waiting since 27 years. 27 years. So, I'm sorry, PG gave us an open challenge. Open challenge accepted, madam. Everything's going to happen. It's going to happen for our country, whether you stand with country people or not. Sangharsh hamara zarur safal hoga, aaj nahi to kal hoga.
Okay, you want to respond to that, Kapil Madan? She says that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra's challenge has been accepted.
So Madhav, my good friend Charu is, always very eloquent, but today I think she's, completely misread. I mean, what she said
read
is
Article
defies. Hold
334A
on.
for me, Kapil?
I never, Charu, I never objected.
Kapil,
I
दोस्ती
understand.
में बोल रही
Charu,
हूँ.
I get your anxiety.
दोस्ती में बोल रही हूँ.
I
Can
get
you
your
just read
anxiety.
this article
I know
for
I
me?
am going to expose you, and I do get your anxiety.
No, but can you just
Please
read the
speak in
article
return.
first, Kapil?
Okay,
Because this is
let him make
already
his
in the
point.
Constitution.
You've asked
I
a
do get
question,
your
let him make his
anxiety.
point.
Sure.
So Madhav, I will just say that why is Charu getting anxious? Because Charu does not have any plausible answer that if the intent was on women reservation, if they really wanted to give women reservation, why did they link it with delimitation? What stops them from giving reservation as on 2023? Why can't from the existing seats of 500 or something, you can give reservation to women basis the existing seat? There is absolutely no plausible answer. The only plausible answer is because they also know that they have minuscule representation of women in their parliament. They have minuscule, in fact, they don't, if you look at their benchmark, it is their proposition that they want to give 33%. Then why is it that in 2024 election, general election, they never gave 33%, in fact, seats to contest to women? It's defies logic. This is more about perception.
So that's a separate issue. In fact, perhaps there has to be a situation where all parties would have to give that kind of reservation. We'll come to that argument, but but Charu Pragya, he has asked you a simple question.
Yes.
And the point is, even in 2023, when that law was passed, increasing the number of seats, removing the freeze on the increase of seats, these were not issues that were settled at that point of time. So why is it, and you've not answered my question either, as to why that notification came after the amendments were introduced in Parliament?
So the notification has already happened, Madhav. But now I want to come back to what Kapil has just said. One, let me remind everyone that delimitation has already been passed as it is already printed in our Constitution, Article 334A. Again, because Kapil did not go back to that, I will read it. Reservation of seats for women, etc., shall come into effect after an exercise of delimitation is undertaken. And I'm going to underline this. So remember that. The second thing is everybody is talking about, 543 seats. Madhav, now can I ask this in all seriousness? Had it had to happen on these number of seats, do you think we would have had to table this bill time and time and time again? In fact, 7 times to be exact. Because there is so many other factors at play. The men sitting in parliament. Today, the population of our country is 140 crore. When we made the new building of the parliament, the Lok Sabha chamber is made big enough to adjust all the other members of parliament who will be coming in. The only country which competes with us when it comes to population is China. But for a similar population, when we have
that's a
nearly
separate argument.
550,
That's a separate. You need a
constitutional
constitutional amendment. You do not have the numbers, which is why clearly the bill failed.
Amendment
If you have to
as it
increase,
stands, the 106
if you have to increase the size of the parliament,
at a disadvantage,
you will have to.
The southern states, it's the opposition, because most of the southern states are ruled by the opposition. I'm going to say this again.
Are you saying that it's going to happen? Are you saying that it's going to happen despite those concerns of the southern states are valid? Parties like DMK, what they've said, they are valid concerns?
Of course, because they were given a chance to stand with the government when the government wanted to be fair to everyone. Smaller states, smaller parties, and the southern states.
So now you're not going to be fair to them.
Against it. No, we'll
now
be
you're
fair.
Going to be unfair to them.
We'll be fair to the population of the country as the census will show. Now you wait for the process. That's what you wanted. You know what? You have just stepped on the axe. That's the only thing I can say. And the saddest thing is that you had to push women out of the door yet again.
Okay, Professor Manojit Mandal on
How
that.
sad.
Professor Manojit Mandal, women being pushed out of the door, you've stepped on the axe. Your answers to Charu Pragya.
I think we have debated about these issues umpteen number of times for the last 3-4 days. The fact remains that the government knew it very well, as you rightly pointed out, that they did not have the number. So what would be the way of really passing it through? Take the opposition on board. What is the opposition asking? Do it right now within the framework that you have, within the system that you have, meaning 543, every third seat should be reserved for women. Do it tomorrow, day after tomorrow, the opposition is going to come on board. And then, again, delimitation can happen. We're stopping that. That's a process that has been happening, and that will happen. But Right now, it's because of the elections in Bengal, especially because they know that women voters of Bengals are not going to vote them. They just wanted to make this show. This is a facade. This is shield for them to show that, okay, we are for the women. Whereas everyone knows that barely 12% of BJP parliamentarians are actually women. Look at the rate of TMC. 41% of the elected parliamentarians are women in TMC. So I think who is doing what? Who is doing politics? Everyone knew.
Okay, let me bring the other panelists in on that also. I'm going to take that point. You made a valid point. Let me quickly bring in fact, Mr. Pattabhiram Komareddy. Pattabhiram Komareddy respond to what's being stated here by Professor Banijit Mandal, because he says that while other political parties, whatever BJP and Congress may say, representation of women, giving adequate number of tickets, nowhere close to TMC. TMC is the one party that actually has the maximum representation of women when it comes to elected representatives. And that is a fact. So at a time like this, when a law is brought into parliament, obviously parties like the DMK, parties like the TMC will say that this is an attempt to try and influence the election by bringing up such issues. Your response, Mr. Reddy.
See, Madhav, the core issue of the entire episode is a few states, losing seats and few states, not getting their rightful share. But when you heard the statement of the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Home Minister on the floor of the House, they have clearly stated that there will be a uniform increase in 50%. Andhra would have benefited by 13 seats. My 25 would have gone up to 38. Now, what will happen?
But why wasn't that in the draft then, sir? Why was it a last-minute offer to bring it up if the House is adjourned?
Madhav, the Honorable Home Minister even said that let's take a break for an hour. I'll make the amendment. I'll bring back the bill.
Of course he said it.
What you wanted.
No, of course he said it. But the point that the opposition were making for about 2 days before that is that there's nothing in writing. How do we pass a law on the basis of assurance is the question that opposition was asking. I'm just quoting them.
See, when the Honorable Home Minister said that he'll make an amendment and he'll come back to the House, why didn't they agree? Now, who will guarantee us our 38? Will Rahul Gandhi give us 38 in future? If we go by the census, Andhra will lose. Will Rahul Gandhi take the...
Professor Mandal, respond to that. It was guaranteed, once again, it was guaranteed by the Home Minister. Why didn't you take that offer on the floor of the House? Respond to it.
Mr. Madhav, take my personal opinion. Why should the women need reservation? Because patriarchy prevails. That's the simple reason. Can we not, for God's sake, think about the issue per se, without linking it to any other issue? Agar aise ho gaye, to aise ho gaye. That really suggests the men in the parliament, especially the ruling dispensation, they do not think about women. And very, very unfortunately, most of the BJP spokespersons are very good, and most of them are women. That's precisely the point. This is a country which is ruled by men. There lies the problem. If you had the intent, you would not think about linking it to any other issue. Just think about the issue at hand. That women needed it, and we are doing greatest of disservice to the women by linking it to other issues. That's as simple as that.
Great disservice of the issue by linking it to other issues. Now respond, Charu.
Thank you. Now he says the ruling dispensation is against, well, every single person, man or woman in the ruling dispensation voted for the bill. Who voted against it? It's you. It's all of you. Let's not forget that. So please focus on issues. The second thing he said was that BJP never had the numbers. NDA never had the numbers. So Mr. Mandal, tell me, in 2023, did BJP have 2/3 majority? No. Everybody came together for a larger cause, which is good for the country. Why couldn't you do it again? Yes. Thirdly, you link it to elections, especially West Bengal elections. But you know what? The truth is, had we done it last year, you would have said Bihar elections. Had we done it next year, you would have said Uttar Pradesh elections. So on and so forth. Our country always has elections. See, the important thing is that you all have signed off on Article 334A. That 106th Amendment stands. So today, even if you want to delink it from the census, you would have to table it again, put it to vote again. I don't know why you are hell-bent on being a roadblock in the path of women. Like I said, this should have just been done.
Okay, let me bring in Vandana Sinha. She hasn't yet spoken. Advocate Vandana Sinha, the question is that why couldn't opposition come together, Charu Pragya says? If you could come together with the government in 2023 for the larger issue of women's reservation or something that, cuts across party lines, why was that not done in this particular instance? Please respond.
all that oppositions were there. We have voted for the women reservation, but the question is that whether it was for the implementation of women reservation or it is for the delimitations. We have to see that. If the intention was to implement the women reservation, it was not combined with the delimitation. It was only the intention to bring the delimitation on his own convenience. This is the only reason. The question is the intention and is the timing. If the intention was there, it was passed in already 2023 September. Everybody has voted. It was passed with the 54 in Lok Sabha and 214 in Rajya Sabha. Why it was not implemented that time at the floor of Parliament? That Law Minister and Finance Minister said by himself that it cannot be implemented without delimitation, and delimitation cannot be happen without census. Now what happened just after 30 months? Now they are saying that it can be done again. It should have been done. How it should have been done in the census of 2011. It's a gap of so many years that around 26 crores has already been increased. Where everybody will go, because the intention is in question. And I'm asking Charu Pragya. Charu Pragya herself belongs to a category. There is not a single word about it. Where this 850 numbers comes from? Why we cannot get the 33% reservation in 543? Why we need this 850 numbers? So there are so many things. It shows that intention was not to give the women reservation. The only intention is to take this delimitation. That is the only. Now the frustration is right here. Now I know that at 8:30 Prime Minister will talk about, because they are not managed to fool the entire women of this country. Even they are fooling their own leaders. Even they are fooling their own
Okay, let her respond here now. Since you've asked a direct question to Charu Pragya, quick response.
I really don't understand why everybody on the opposing side does not bother to understand that the provision already exists in the Constitution: census, delimitation and reservation. So it is going to be pushed through because you all have agreed to it. So please understand that.
No, but then why is the yardstick being changed after 30 months is a pointed question. The government should have thought this out. In 2023, why have a rethink in 26?
In 2023, it was done with utmost logic and fairness to our population, till the government realized that there will be a lot of opposition, especially from states where population has gone down. I've taken one example. I'll tell you for Tamil Nadu also. 39 seats will have 10 seats lost. If we went by the census approximately on today's population, that will become 29 seats to Tamil Nadu. Had we taken the new formula the government was proposing, it becomes 59 seats. So like I said, I think it is mighty generous of the government to take everybody together when it comes to reform which benefits India. We're talking about Viksit Bharat, Madhav. Viksit Bharat cannot be made without 50% of our women participating in the rise of our country. That's all that we intended to do.
All that is fine, but what about your allies like TDP? Because, you know, is this, Mr. Komarati, something that is acceptable?
It's everybody's
Let him
loss.
answer, please, for his party.
Loss.
Let him answer. Mr. Komarati, what happens to the TDP in particular? Because you're also in a part of the country where demands have been made by both your neighbors. Both Mr. Stalin as well as Mr. Revanth Reddy are on the side demanding that, this delimitation should not be forced through. It should be a well thought out decision. Now, the question is what happens if there is an implementation in the year 2026 or 29, wherever it is, that the delimitation comes into effect, and it is the southern states that lose out, including your own state?
Madhav, it is only after appeals from our leader and many other leaders on, few states losing seats that the government had brought this proposal of uniform increase of by 50%. See, if they don't want to take everyone on board, why will they bring this kind of a proposal? They wanted everyone to support this. The Prime Minister even had gone to the extent of saying, you take the credit. We don't want credit. Even in Coimbatore in his speech, he was saying, you could have taken the credit. He even said, I will print your photographs tomorrow in the paper. What do they want? See, we would all have benefited. Tamil Nadu could have got 20 more. Kerala could have got 10 more. We were getting 13 more. Telangana. All the southern states were benefiting. What else do they want? They
so what will happen now?
To play some kind of a, political drama. Stalin burning the bill papers and all. To his kind of a political stand he was trying to.
Mr. Komarati, I just want to understand one thing. When the census happens, after that the delimitation happens, the women's reservation comes into effect. is A, the freeze on the cap on the number of seats in Lok Sabha, is that going to be extended by this government? Is it not going to happen? Because that's going to be the big issue.
See, what I strongly believe is whenever delimitation happens, I still believe that the Honorable Prime Minister or the Home Minister will ensure that